Welcome to Synth Stuff. Today we are flying out to Fort Wayne, Indiana to go visit Sweetwater, the home of the largest internet retailer for music instruments in North America. They have a huge showroom there. We're going to go look at all the synthesizers coming up. It is a beautiful morning. Nice crisp fall morning. We've had a week of miserable rain and clouds and terrible weather. But today it is crystal clear blue skies. We're going to be flying out to Fort Wayne for my semi-annual trip to Sweetwater to see all the new synthesizers at Sweetwater. And it looks to me like this is the peak weekend for leaf viewing.
Banana traffic, 44 kilos, left crosswind for Niner, banana traffic.
So we're going to get a good look at all the leaves while we're up. Medina traffic, Cozy 797 Delta Lima, departing runway 9. We're departing to the south, Medina.
Banana traffic, Cessna 44 kilos, left base for Niner.
All right, everything is in the green. Brakes are released. Airspeed's alive. There's 50. And 60. And 70. I'm holding the nose off. And away it goes. Gear up.
And if you're new to this channel or wondering what the hell's going on, why is this guy flying an airplane on a synthesizer channel? Well, yes, it's a synthesizer channel. I'm also been a licensed commercial pilot for over 35 years. This is my airplane. I have another YouTube channel called Canard Boulevard. Sometimes when I have content that kind of crosses over, like when I'm flying to Sweetwater, it kind of bleeds into the other channel.
So if you're wondering what I'm listening to other than radio calls when I'm up here flying, it's this. But I don't normally have that playing on the this side of the intercom because otherwise it'll record it on my audio and then my YouTube videos get copyright strikes and we don't want that. So I get to hear it, you don't.
I should really tell you what this video is all about now that we're already 2.5 minutes into it. This is my annual synth review of the top synths you can buy, and this year I'm going to say it has to have a keyboard and it's got to be under $2,000. So no modular synths without keyboards. I'm going to try and stay away from mini keys as much as I can because I really hate mini keys. So that's just a personal preference, and I want them to be unique and I want them to be something special. The user interface has to be great. The sounds have to be amazing. I mean, when it comes down to it, it's all about the sound. So it has to sound good. It has to be inspiring to play. And if the synthesizer is flexible in that it can make a lot of different sounds or be used for different purposes, that's even better than a one-trick pony. A few of the synths that I wanted to feature were not at Sweetwater on this trip, but fortunately I have those here in my studio, so we'll just cut to the studio for those synths. In the meantime, let's land here at Fort Wayne and then head on over to Sweetwater. So, Sweet Aviation here in Fort Wayne gave me the courtesy car. Woohoo! So, no Uber for me today. Awesome. Always put some gas in the courtesy car when you get it. So, you have some for the next guy. Here we are, 5 minutes away from the airport. Here's Sweetwater. And if you've not seen my videos before, the Sweetwater Showroom is a giant mall where each store is a different type of instrument. Here is the acoustic guitars, here's the pianos, and then we have electric guitars, bass guitars, drums, and then we have a whole section of pedals, the largest collection of pedals in the world, you know, recording, PA, and of course, the best part, synthesizers. They even have a used gear section, which we should probably go check. See if there's anything worth looking at over there. All right, let's get going and have a look at all the synthesizers. I did mention this is my top 20 synthesizers of 2025 video, and I am going to tour around inside Sweetwater and demonstrate those top 20 synthesizers, except, well, one of them is a drum machine, so it doesn't really count. And so it's going to be 19 top synthesizers. And one of those doesn't count either, so it's actually going to be 18. But we'll start at number 19, which is the Moog Messenger at $900. This is an analog synthesizer, fully analog, 32 keys, aftertouch. However, it is a monophonic, so not polyphonic. You can only play one note at a time. Has 256 patch storage locations, 2 VCOs and a sub-oscillator, 1 LFO with an arpeggiator and a sequencer. So let's have a look at the Moog Messenger. All right, here we have the Moog Messenger. No price on this, so your guess is as good as mine. Is this monophonic? It looks like it. Yep. So it's a monophonic Moog. Sounds like a Moog. And whatever the price is, it's probably too high for what you're getting. I'm sure it sounds great, the filter and all the rest of it. Yeah, not a fan. So if you like that Moog sound and you don't care that it's not a polyphonic synth, then this is probably what you're going to look for. This is about the cheapest you're ever going to pay for a brand new Moog synthesizer that gives you that Moog sound because of that Moog filter and the oscillators. It definitely sounds like a Moog. Number 18, disappointing, the Behringer UB-Xa at $1,300. This is another fully analog synth, 61 keys with polyphonic aftertouch, 16 voice polyphony. That's a lot of polyphony for an analog synthesizer. 2 oscillators, 2 LFOs, and it has a low-pass analog filter. I was really expecting this to blow me away because it's basically a clone of an Oberheim, and it really didn't. And I think Behringer is shooting themselves in the foot by sticking to the original design and literally cloning the exact way it was back in the 80s. And the factory presets are exactly what they were in the 80s. So you got all those stupid emulated flute and guitar sounds that nobody ever used and no effects. I think Behringer really needs to look at maybe modernizing some of these classic remakes just to, get them to keep up with the times. These are not people who are buying these because they just desperately wanted an Oberheim from years ago and couldn't afford it now, but they want that Oberheim sound, but they want modern conveniences. To me, that's my opinion anyway. So let's have a look at the Behringer UB-Xa. Another contender here is the Behringer UB-Xa. It is the OBX clone. Let's find something that is more OBX-y. Hoping for some synthy sounds. We've got all these comp synth. This thing, it does sound like an Oberheim, but the problem it has is it's kind of hamstrung because it doesn't have any effects, just like the original. I think if you sit down and start going through the presets like I am here, you're just going to be horrendously disappointed in what this thing sounds like, but these sounds are just horrendous. I'm sure they are what are in the original OBX, when maybe those sounds were in fact horrendous, but I mean, bagpipes, harp. Who wants to listen to that nonsense? Yes, you can get some very good basic sounds out of it, but for $1,300, I think I would be giving this a pass, especially with no effects whatsoever. Number 17, the Korg Minilogue XD, still hanging in there on the list at $800. This one's been around for quite a few years now. Another, well, I say analog, but it's a hybrid analog synthesizer. 37 keys. They're slim keys. They're not mini keys, but they are slimmer than normal. 4-note polyphony, 200 factory presets and 300 user preset slots. It has 2 analog oscillators, and then it also has a digital oscillator, which is the classic Minilogue, the Logue oscillator that you can load models into. So there's an SDK so people can develop new oscillators that do different things, and you can download them off the internet, install them into the synthesizer in that third oscillator. And you can also do the same thing with effects. People will design new reverbs and things and load that into the effects section, which is a digital effects on this unit. It does have 1 LFO, and it has an arpeggiator and a sequencer. It sounds good. It's a pretty decent synthesizer, but at $800, there might be better options. But let's have a look at the Korg Minilogue XD. Here's the Minilogue. Nice sounding synth. I don't know if I would pick this over another at $800. I think there's probably better values for what synths are available. This one's getting a little long in the tooth now, I think. You'll notice the joystick was broken off. It seems to be a common theme with the synthesizers at Sweetwater in the showroom that all the joysticks are broken off. I don't know why. Number 16 is the Korg MicroKorg 2 at $700, which I think is kind of a steal. This synthesizer would not have made it on my list because it's mini keys and terrible mini keys with no aftertouch. However, it's actually a pretty decent synth and it has a lot of features and really good sound. It has 37 mini keys. It is a fully digital synth. It has a vocoder built into it, including a microphone. 8 voices of polyphony, digital effects, and what really pushed this onto my list was the new firmware 2.0 that they just released that allows you to load the Logue oscillators and effects from the Minilogue that I just talked about. You can now load them into this MicroKorg as well. So you can download new oscillators and new effects off the internet, either free or paid ones, and load them into the synthesizer to use them. This firmware also adds a new sub-oscillator, a split functionality, and has a loop recorder in there that you can also slice up, not quite like granular, so you can slice up the sample to the loops that you're recording, which is really kind of cool. And for $700, it's a pretty good deal, especially if you need something small to take on the road, which is traditionally what the original MicroKorg was used for. In fact, when I saw Information Society a couple of years ago, Paul uses a MicroKorg right up front, and that's one of his main synthesizers. So over here we have the old MicroKorg, but here we have the brand new MicroKorg, which is only $600. I think is probably one of the best deals going today. It does have a built-in vocoder like the old one, but it has so much more with the new firmware release. You can do all kinds of sampling and just great things. And despite the case that has mini keys on it, which I hate, they are wide enough that I can actually get my fingers in there. And the engine in this is really, really good. If we pick a different type, ambient electronica. I said I'd never get another mini key synth, but I might have to revisit that rule with this new Korg now that they have the new firmware release and it does so much more. This is just a nice carry around synth that you can take anywhere. And you have all these timbre edit, and each thing does a different thing. So we have resonance and cutoff. But each sound changes what these controls do, so you can see what they actually do for different sounds. And I like they actually did a decent screen instead of the horrible little monochrome LCD screen that they're using on all the other Korgs. Very nice synth. I have a feeling I might be buying one of these.
Number 15. This one was not on display at Sweetwater. Surprisingly, it is the Korg Wavestate. Yes, it's been out for a few years now, but I was surprised it was not there. It is a digital wave sequencing synthesizer, 37 keys, miserable keybed. However, there is an SE version you can get with 61 keys with Aftertouch, and it's only about $1,200, I think, $1,300. Really good deal, and it has a nice, I don't know if it's a Fatar keybed, I think it might be, but it's a much nicer thing to play, and you have all the extra keys that you need. It has 96 voices, 2012 factory presets, and you have 4 gigabytes of user space to load your own presets and samples and things into. 3 LFOs, 12 filters, has digital effects, 4 arpeggiators, and it has that motion sequencer. This thing is astounding to me even still today, and I still use mine all the time, which is why it's sitting right here. Let's have a look at the Korg Wavestate. The Wavestate, I really, really like this. I've had it since it came out, really. I used to use it a lot for production and recording, and I find I use it more for inspiration now. It's not the easiest synthesizer to program, but when you get the native version, which is the version that runs on the computer, it really kind of lays out the engine a lot easier and better because it has more controls on the computer than you have on this. So you don't have to have like shift this and enter that for all these multiple key presses that you have to remember because it's all right there. So for sound design on this, I use the computer, but I often will just pick something at random, and just by messing around, it comes up with things that give me ideas. And if you are doing soundtracks at all, this thing is a soundtrack monster. You can make happy, scary sounds. Just pick any preset and you've got something. Hey, listen to that. That's a start of something. That's the beginning, and you can just find all kinds of stuff like that. And just picking presets at random to play here, but endless landscape. Euro smash, C minor. If you wanted to use that just to come up with a YouTube theme or something, hey, that's great. You can do it in 5 minutes there. So that's really what I like this thing for. Number 14 is the Oberheim TEO-5 at $1,500. Kind of expensive. It is a fully analog synthesizer with 44 keys, 5 voices of polyphony. It has channel aftertouch, 256 factory presets, and 256 user preset slots. It has 2 oscillators, 2 LFOs, and it has an Oberheim SEM filter, which is a multi-mode filter with high, low, and bandpass modes, digital effects, an arpeggiator, and a sequencer. And I'm not quite sure what the market is for this for $1,500. Maybe if you want an actual real Oberheim with an actual Oberheim SEM filter at an affordable price, maybe this is your synthesizer. Let's have a listen to the Oberheim TEO-5. That's the kind of sound I expect from an Oberheim. And channel aftertouch. Next on the list, number 13 is the Sequential Take 5 at $1,700. You're going to notice some very close similarities between this one and the previous one. The TEO-5 and the Take 5, if you look at the control panels, are identical. Same knob positions, same everything. They're basically the same synthesizer, and with almost the exact same specifications. This one is also an analog synthesizer, also has 44 keys, also has 5 voices, also has channel aftertouch. It has 128 factory presets and 128 user presets, so that is different. It has 2 oscillators, 2 LFOs, just like the other one. It also has the digital effects and the arpeggiator and the sequencer. However, instead of that Oberheim SEM filter, it has the filter from the Prophet Rev 4, and it is a low-pass 24 decibel ladder filter. So that is the difference, in that it sounds like a Prophet. So if you want Oberheim sound with an SEM filter, then the TEO-5 is for you. If you want Prophet sound, and like an affordable Prophet, then the Take 5 is for you, because it sounds like a Prophet to me. Let's have a look at the Take 5. Seems like a nice polysynth, pretty straightforward polysynth. Of these two, I think I like the sound of the TEO-5 better. Nice bass to it, nice low end. And then we have the
Oberheim OB-6 up here, which is way out of our price range, as is this Oberheim OBX8 down here.
Number 12, this is one that should not be on here because it beats my $2,000 limit, but it is the Roland Juno-X at $2,200. I wanted to have a Roland synth in here that was a full-size synth, and this is the only one they had. I used to have the System 8 on there, but they've discontinued the System 8, so can't have that one anymore. This is another version of the Roland Zencore engine in a different box. So yeah, they have the Jupiter X, they get the Juno X, and even the GAIA 2. So all different synthesizers, but basically the same thing inside a Zencore engine. It is digital, 61 keys, has channel aftertouch, 256 notes of polyphony, 4,000 preset tones, and 256 user tones. I should tell you something. This is not a synthesizer that they expect you to do sound design on. Roland just wants you to subscribe to Roland Cloud and buy their preset packs and stick them in there. That's how Roland works these days. It does have digital effects, and it has that arpeggiator system that follows your playing and so on. So it looks like a Juno. You can make Juno sounds out of it, but it's not a Juno. It's still just a Zencore synth. Let's have a look at the Roland Juno-X.
So this is the lower of the Zencore remakes. The original, they have a Jupiter X as well. So how do we get to our scene? Here we go. And obviously your original Juno was not doing this kind of thing. But it's a nice synth in that it has all the physical controls. It can make all the Juno sounds, and it has drums and PCM and stuff like that, so you can do this kind of nonsense. And I believe it has iArpeggio. Yes, it does. iArpeggio in it, which is what you're hearing right now. It's trying to figure out what I'm playing. So if I play, it will try and follow my chords with an accompaniment. Nice synth. I don't know if I'd spend $2,200 on it.
Number 11 on my list is the Korg NEO, coming in at $800. This is a fully digital virtual analog synthesizer, 37 keys, decent keys. It has a joystick on it, again, broken. 24 voices of polyphony, 200 factory presets, 100 user presets. Okay, this has 3 oscillators in it with 138 different oscillator types so you can assign to those oscillators. Very nice. You can get a lot of different sounds out of this thing as a result. 18 different digital filters, has digital effects. It also includes a 16-band vocoder with a microphone, and that 16 bands means you're going to have a very intelligible vocoder. So let's have a look at the Korg NEO.
We have the new Korg NEO, which at $799 would have to do quite a bit to challenge GAIA 2. Some bass. Oh, we're listening to all bass sounds. No wonder. How about some lead sounds? Some pads. Pretty standard sounds. I'm honestly not hearing things that make me say, wow. No, there's no aftertouch on the key bed. Key bed's nothing to write home about. Yeah, I don't know. I think between the two, for that kind of money, I'd be going with the GAIA too.
Now, I did play with this a little bit more after I made that short recording, and I have to say, actually, I ended up liking it more than I thought I originally did, which is why it's made it up to number 11 in my list. Number 10, this one really, really surprised me. I did not expect this to be on my list at all. At $1,000 is the Sequential Fourm. Fourm. It is a fully analog synth with 37 mini keys, polyphonic aftertouch. So mini key bed with polyphonic aftertouch. And the mini keys means it would not even make it onto my list normally, but this one made it up to number 10. It has 128 presets, 2 VCOs. It has a 4-pole analog low-pass filter. It has 2 envelope generators, arpeggiator, sequencer, no effects, and it is a monophonic synth. I'd say not in terms of number of notes being played, but it does not have stereo output. It's just one channel output and no effects. So you don't have any kind of stereo sound at all. Normally, no effects, mono output, mini keys. This thing would never be on my list, but boy, was I impressed with the sound coming out of this thing. It sounded great. So let's have a listen to the Sequential Fourm.
Here's the new Sequential Fourm, which has gotten so much press for $1,000. It has semi-mini keys, although they are wider and a bit longer, but definitely mini keys. The knobs are really stiff. I was expecting so much from this, and it's really quite small and actually, I was going to say cheap feeling, but no, it's all metal, actually. And the knobs are a bit stiff. Oh, it's got aftertouch. It's got polyphonic aftertouch. Okay, well, I'm a little surprised at that, but and that puts it in the running against the Hydrasynth Explorer, rather. All right, so let's try a different program. Okay. Alright, I was ready to hate on this thing, but I'm actually kind of liking it after I hear some of these sounds. And the polyphonic aftertouch. I gotta say, the key bed has almost no travel. I don't like the key bed on it. I don't know, the aftertouch is doing weird things on that. Definitely polyphonic. Wow. Okay, so maybe this is worth some of the hype it was coming out with. Ugh, mini keys. My hands don't fit them. It's kind of like... Actually, I think I like the... Yeah, I definitely like the key bed on the Hydrasynth Explorer better. We're $1,000. Is it worth it? I think it might be. I think it's a really great sounding synth. And 2 oscillators plus on the LFO. We got our arpeggiator. We obviously have a lot of digital effects in there that we're hearing, but they sound good.
Number 9, the big disappointment was the Behringer Wave, $690. I really like this thing. And unfortunately, the one they had at Sweetwater was dead. It did not make any sound at all. It was broken. So I wasn't able to play with it other than playing with the user interface because the control panel worked. It just didn't make any sound. I've seen lots of videos with this thing, so I know what it can sound like. Basically, it's a PPG Wave. So if you've heard a PPG Wave, this thing is a PPG Wave. It sounds exactly like it, has the exact same presets in it, the factory presets. It sounds awesome. And it's 49 keys with Aftertouch. Aftertouch for $690. So this could just be a controller, a MIDI controller that happens to have a PPG Wave engine grafted onto it. That's a fantastic value. 30 factory presets, 64 user presets. That sucks. Again, that's the 30 factory presets are the same presets that PPG put out in the 1980s, and they suck. Why would Behringer just do the exact same thing with the same sucky presets and only 64 user presets? Come on, memory is cheap. Behringer, yes, I see you're trying to get and copy the user interface exactly so it works exactly the same, but let's bring it into the 21st century and add some new features and capabilities to it, right? 16 wavetable oscillators, and of course it has an analog 24 decibel low pass filter because back in the 1980s the processing power didn't allow modeled digital filters, so analog filters is what all the digital synths had. And it has an arpeggiator and a sequencer. So I can show you the Behringer Wave. I can't let you hear it, but there was another wave right below it, and you're going to hear that now.
So the Behringer Wave is a really great price for basically a PPG Wave. And I was really excited to try and play it. It feels nice. I mean, the interface is much like the original PPG Wave. However, this one is completely dead. I can't get it to make any sound at all. I've tried resetting it. It's dead. So unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to demo that. But down here, we have a third wave. And this is most definitely not within our price range, but what a synth. I'm almost afraid to play with this thing because I want to bring it home, because this is just a monster of a synth. The name of that one. Yeah. And I'm playing PPG sounds here, so in theory, what you're hearing on here should be able to come out of this. And I was really looking forward to hearing that, but unfortunately not to be for today. You should be hearing that now, and there's just nothing. You can see even on the oscilloscope, there's just nothing. So I'll have to try that another day, but I still think this is a fantastic deal for a synthesizer if you can get one that works and stays working.
Number 8 is the Modal Cobalt8. or 8X, which is what I have right here behind me. Cobalt-8, $770. The 8X, $970. A difference of $200. Why would you not get the 8X with 61 keys? It is a digital virtual analog synthesizer, either 37 keys on the 8 or 61 on the 8X. And it has an aftertouch keybed that is a FATAR keybed. It's a gorgeous feeling keybed. You could use that as a MIDI controller and have a bonus synth attached. 8 voices of polyphony, 300 factory presets, 500 user presets. I kind of wish it had more because I've filled mine up. I really, really like this synthesizer. It has up to 8 VCOs per voice, 3 LFOs, a modeled multi-mode filter, and that is one of my favorite parts about this, is that the filter is a morphing multi-mode filter, and I really like the sound of this modeled filter. In fact, that's my favorite part about this synthesizer. 3 envelope generators, 100 digital effects presets, arpeggiator, a sequencer. Let's give a listen to the Modal Cobalt8. I was really surprised they had no modals at Sweetwater at all this year on the display floor. This is the Cobalt8X, which I think is probably one of the best deals going today. They just knocked $240 off the price of this thing. This is the 61 key, and with that price reduction, this is a no-brainer. It has an actual FATAR keybed in it, so it's got a really high quality keybed. Now this is the Cobalt8X, which is the virtual analog version of the Cobalt or the Modal series. They do have the Argon and the Carbonate. The Carbonate apparently has a newer, more powerful engine. I have liked the sounds of it, but I really prefer the Cobalt-8. This is my favorite modal. And one of the reasons for that is that filter, that morphing multi-mode filter. It's a digital modeled filter because this is a VA synth, but I really like the sound of the filter in this. The effects are good. The reverb is not the best. I think it's down to the limitation of the processing power, but I really like how they set this up. And if you are learning synthesis, this is a great synth for learning synthesis on. I've done a lot of videos on this already. If you have a look through my channel, you can see reviews and tutorials on this synthesizer. Number 7 is the Roland GAIA 2 at $825. I didn't record this one at Sweetwater, and I also didn't record mine here because I just have so much footage. I've done many videos on this already. I will paste in some footage that I've done from a previous video on the GAIA 2 in here so you can at least hear what it sounds like. I have one video where I just have it doing nothing except playing presets. Maybe I'll stick that in there. This is a digital virtual analog synth, 37 keys, pretty decent keybed, no aftertouch unfortunately. It does have an XY motion pad that you can record sequences on there. 22 notes of polyphony, 256 factory presets, 512 user presets, 1 wavetable oscillator and 2 VA oscillators, and that wavetable oscillator is a pretty good one. 2 LFOs, has a multi-mode filter, 53 digital effects. Effects are pretty decent on this. Arpeggiator, sequencer, and it also has the ability to load modeled synths in. It comes from the factory with an SH101, so you can flick it into that SH101 mode, and effectively you have an SH101, and you can make all the sounds and have all the limitations of an SH101 with its squelchy filter, and it works really well. I have an SH101 sitting right next to it, and it sounds exactly like it. Let's have a listen to the Roland GAIA 2. Down here we have the GAIA 2, which I have done lots of content on because I have one of these, and I think at $824 this is a fantastic deal. It's a great synthesizer. It has so much capability. The emotional pad works really, really well. Number 6 is the Roland Fantom-06 at $1,760. Of course, that Roland tax, so the price is up there. It is a digital workstation. It is the smaller version and the scaled down version of the flagship Fantom 6. 61 keys, 16 programmable pads. So it does have those pads on there that you can use to hit drum keys. Actually, you can have them play samples or notes or do any number of things. You can use it as your favorites, presets. Something that the MODX and the Montage has never had. It has 256 notes of polyphony, depending on what tones you're using. 16 parts multi-timbral. You'll run out of polyphony long before you ever get 16 parts playing at once. 3,500 factory tones. It does have that TR-Rec sequencer that I like in there. 2 gigabytes of internal storage. And if I remember correctly, I think it's only about 256K of storage for user samples, which kind of sucks. It is a very lightweight and capable synthesizer. It's great. I use mine as my live board because it has all those Roland sounds in there and it does passable pianos and things. It's not really great at anything, but it's good at a lot. If you need pianos and EPs and some classic synthesizer sounds, it'll do you exactly that. And it's easy to use and reliable on the road. The key bed is pretty decent. I would say it's better than the original MODX, not better than the new MODX M, but it's a pretty decent key bed. And so for $1,760, it's a usable workstation. Let's have a listen to that Roland Fantom-06. It has a lot of the same features as the original Fantom. You can see it has the 8 sliders and controls and so on, just like the Fantom. But just like the MODX is to the Montage, the Fantom-06 is to the Fantom. It has generally a workstation, has a lot of samples in it. You can play piano in it, lots of different pianos and organs. It does not have the greatest tone. However, I selected this as my live board, because it's super lightweight, but also because it has a lot of the classic 80s sounds in it. Being a Roland, you can load Roland models into it. So if you want a Juno-106 model, engine model, you can do that. Plus it has all the Zen Core, which is all the pianos, and we've got EPs in here. Also, originally my MODX was going to be the live board because it's lightweight, but the original MODX just had a miserable key bed, and this one is much better. This is a much better key bed than the original MODX. However, I would say that the new MODX M, the key bed quality and feel is now better than the Fantom-06 or the 06, the 07. The 08, of course, has a hammer action, which is totally different, but this is eminently playable. It does have a few features that the MODX obviously does not. It has the pads up here, so if I select a drum kit, then you can use those as notes. You can also have samples in there that you can play. You can get kind of the same thing with the MODX, but you have to play it using the keys rather than the pads. This does have a TR-Rec in it, so if you... what do I have in here? Okay, so I've got some drum patterns in here. You can see it's playing. So I'm going to hit this, and then hit drums. There we go. And this is also a touch screen. You can scroll through it if you want, or you can just touch it. So if I wanted 808 sounds, there's my 808, of course 909, CR78, 606. So it has all those classic Roland drum machine sounds and Roland synth sounds. If I pick a synth sound in here, then you... JP8 ring. You're going to find a lot of Jupiter kind of sounds in here. If I exit out here, we go into synths, Jupiter lead. If I, let's see if we pick a pad. OB strings. Of course, it's the OB sound. 106 strings, so this is supposed to be like a Juno 106. One thing I will say that the sound design on this is miserable. I much prefer the MODX. There's not a lot of the way, you do end up having to do a lot on the screen. So Roland wants you to buy sound packs, preset sound packs with tons of presets, and they sell them to you and make it very easy to buy on Roland Cloud. So that's really what this is good for. Number 5, this is one that has never appeared on my list before, the Akai MPC Key 61 at $1,500. This is a digital plug-in synth, so it's basically a computer that has a bunch of different plugins, and each plugin is an engine, and there's 25 of them in there. So one could be a sample player, and one is a piano engine, and this one's a guitar engine, and this one's a virtual analog synth engine, and so on. And you just pick which engine you want, and then you can use the presets from that engine or create your own presets. You can't have multiple tones from multiple engines. You can only have one engine loaded at a time, so it's probably better for production in a studio than it is for a live situation. It does have 61 keys with aftertouch and a sampler built into it as well. It has 16 RGB velocity sensitive pads. So unlike the Fantom-06 where it just has those rubber pads that are triggers, the MPC, if you hit it harder, it can play louder. So that's a great for drums especially. It has over 6,000 presets in its 25 engines, 8-track audio sequencer. So yes, you can record audio in its sequencer and use those in loops and as part of its production capability. 128 tracks of MIDI sequencer, 32 gigabytes of internal storage. And if that's not enough for you, it has a SATA bay where you can put an SSD in there and just put untold gigabytes of storage in there if you need it for some reason. So let's have a listen to the Akai MPC Key 61. Then we've got the Akai MPC Keys 61 for $1,500. And if we see here, we have all these, well, where have they gone? Well, they were showing up here. Oh, performances, sounds. There we go. So we have all these different instruments. So you got Selena strings. We got them. Classic. Fabric. What do we got in here? EPs. What do you want? Gentle Time. Chimey EP. So this is basically a DAW in a box, kind of. It's got pads and so on, but it runs like these plugins. So you can pick all these different plugins, and you can, you know, an electric piano. All right, we just did electric piano. Oh, a DX. Live Whirly. And then you can pick all these different things. Drum synth, tube synth. What is a tube synth? We want synth sounds. Static supersaw. So it's just a huge collection of sounds and engines, and it's got the Akai key bed. I don't think it doesn't feel like aftertouch key bed. May or may not. It's a standalone sampler, has a sequencer, so it's basically a DAW in a box. But it actually sounds pretty good. You got a ribbon up here, pads. If we go back to our drums, drum synth, we can say, hopefully we can have multi in here. And say dance, trance EDM. Techno. If we go back, let's say 90s, basic. So it has all these samples and sounds in here. So it's a kind of a do everything, kind of like a workstation, like a Montage or a MODX, but a little bit different because it does have all these engines, and I guess you can put more engines in here if you get them. You know, maybe you can buy engines and put them in here. All right, that's the MPC Key 61. Not a bad choice at $1,500. Number 4, this is one that really needs to take up residence here in my studio, the Expressive E Osmose at $1,800. It uses something called the Haken Audio Egan Matrix engine, which is something I don't understand, I don't even pretend to understand. It's a really complex engine, 49 keys, aftertouch, and it has pitch mod sliding, so you can move the keys sideways to change the pitch of individual notes. The key bed's kind of like rubbery and squishy. It's a weird thing to try to play. You have to, I can't really describe it. You have to try it yourself to understand it. 24 note polyphony, 500 presets, tons of digital effects, and that crazy key bed. Let's have a listen to the Expressive E Osmose.
And if I'm going to be honest about it, at $1,800, the Expressive E Osmose is probably my next synthesizer. I've been saying that for a while. This thing just sounds otherworldly.
My gosh, I love that thing. I really need to get one in here. I need to stop talking about it and just do it. Number 3 on the list. This thing is a modern classic at $1,000, the Korg Multipoly. I do not have this here. I do have the native version, which is the software VST you can load on in your DAW. I have it. I use it all the time. Absolutely love this synthesizer. And getting my hands on it was not a good thing because it really makes me want to buy one. It is a total digital synth, a virtual analog synthesizer, 37 keys. I would love to have the SE version of that, the 61 key with the aftertouch like they do with the Wavestate. If they made one of those, I'd be sorely tempted to buy one. It does have a Chaos physics pad built into it, 60 voices of polyphony, 4 VCOs, 5 LFOs, 2 filters, 4 looping envelope generators, tons of digital effects, and it has that multi-lane sequencer similar to what's in the Wavestate but kind of expanded on. I think this is truly a modern classic, and when it comes to the sound that comes out of it, it is monstrous. Let's give a listen to the Korg Multipoly.
Then down here we have the Korg Multipoly, which is just a monster synth. I do have the VST version of this synth. I don't have the hardware, but at $1,000, this is definitely a contender. Wow. And of course you have the Chaos Physics pad on this as well. There's just so many different capable sounds that this thing can do. It would be even better with a better key bed. Wouldn't it be great if they put out an SE version of this with a decent aftertouch key bed? My God, I would buy one of these. I think this is one of the modern classics. This is one that's going to stand the test of time. If you were to be getting into a synth, you wanted electronic sounds and basically a do everything synth. I mean, the Hydrasynth is double the price. If you can't spend $2,000 on a Hydrasynth Deluxe, $1,000 on a multi-poly is just a no-brainer. What a machine this thing is. Love this thing.
Number 2 is the ASM Hydrasynth. There's 3 of them. There's the Explorer for $650, the original Hydrasynth for $1,400, and the Deluxe, which I have right here behind me, for $2,000. It is a digital virtual analog synthesizer. The Explorer has 37 keys, mini keys. The original is 49, and the Deluxe has 73. And they're all 3 of them polyphonic aftertouch, and by far the best polyphonic aftertouch that I've ever played. Extremely expressive. 8 notes of polyphony except for the Deluxe, which has 16. The Explorer can also be run off batteries, and the engine has 2 virtual analog wave morphing oscillators and 1 fixed wave oscillator, and you have 219, I believe, waveforms for each of those VA morphing oscillators. It has 5 LFOs, 5 envelope generators, a multi-mode filter, digital effects, arpeggiator, and then everything I just said, double it for the Deluxe because it has 2 Hydrasynth engines inside it. Let's have a listen to the Hydrasynth.
This is the Hydrasynth Deluxe, which is 2 Hydrasynths in one, 2 Hydrasynth engines. So you have an upper and a lower. You can link them together. They're bitimbral because you can put a different one into each, or you can stack them up or layer or split or whatever. For sound design, it doesn't get any better than this. The sound design capabilities of this thing are monstrous. And I've often said that if I had to give up all my synths, that this would probably be, well, it would be between this and the Montage. The Montage can do everything. This can't do sampling and AWM sample playback like the Montage can, but this can do pretty much everything else. And polyphonic aftertouch. Such great sounds in here. And with that polyphonic aftertouch key bed, you can be so expressive with it. And this is by far the best polyphonic aftertouch key bed I've ever played. Love this thing. And the filters and the controls.
All right, we're all the way up to number one. Brand new synthesizer just came out. It is the Yamaha MODX M, and the M6, $1,800. The M7 just slides in at $2,000. The M8 is the hammer action one. It's way too expensive, so it's not on my list. I would pick the M7 just because if you're going to be using this, you want to have splits. If you have the space, definitely go for the M7. It is a digital workstation. It's the newest version of the MODX, and it basically is the scaled down version of the Montage M. It has the full Montage M engine and the new Montage M user interface on the screen. It has 16 parts multi-timbral, 268 note polyphony, 18 different filters, and it does include that new ANX analog modeling engine that made its debut in the Montage M. But the big news, it has a new FSB key bed. The original MODX had the worst key bed. It was just cheap feeling and plasticky. It was usable, but the Fantom-06 just blew it out of the water. No longer, the new MODX M, I think it's the same keyboard they're using in their professional CK keyboards. Whatever it is, it feels great. It does not have aftertouch, but it feels great. It's even better than the Fantom-06 keybed. So if you played the MODX before and you were put off by the keybed, you should definitely have a look at the MODX M because the keybed is so much better. It has 10.7 gigabytes of factory presets, and it has space for 1.9 user presets. That's user samples and libraries. 8 sliders, 8 scene buttons, and it's also slimmer, and I think probably a little bit lighter than the original MODX. The MODX is kind of thick and chunky, and the new MODX M is thinner. And it includes ESP, which is the software DAW version. Montage M came with ESP, so you actually can run an instance or multiple instances of Montage M in your DAW without the Montage M even being connected. Same goes for the MODX. It will be out in early 2026. They will have a MODX version of ESP, so you can run MODX on your laptop. So you could take a MIDI controller to a gig and play your MODX sounds on your laptop. I don't know why you do that. Just bring the MODX. It's late. But anyway, you could do that. So let's have a look at the MODX M.
All right, so this is really what I came here to see. You see they got the new MODX M6, and what I'm really interested in is the key action. If you notice, it pivots about the same place as the original one, but oh my gosh, it feels so much better. I think I think it's the same key bed as they used on the. Yes, it is same as the CK. And the YC, so it feels like that same keybed. Oh yeah, this keybed is so much better than the old MODX keybed. This is the new ANX engine we're hearing here. So if we do a attribute of ANX, and we get all these ANX sounds. Or we can go to the live set over here and fat vintage.
big band. What else we get in here? That's our brass, guitar, bass, drum, hybrid synth, motion control. Let's try some of this. So the front panel of the new MODX looks so much better. Oh, they got new textured wheels with is it a rubber finish? I'm not sure, but the wheels definitely feel better. New panel, 8 sliders, 8 scenes. This is just such an amazing value for a synthesizer. The profile is much slimmer than the old MODX. And the sounds, of course, has the same engines as the Montage. Much key bed in here. I think this is pretty much the best value in synthesizers that you can buy today right now. All right, I was really hoping one of these would be here, and obviously the price is way beyond what I was hoping for, but so let's actually, before we start that, let's switch over to, if I can figure out how to do it. How do I select enter? Okay, so there's my 808 kit. So I should be able to hear that. Open hi-hat. Low tom. Closed hi-hat. All right, so this thing has a lot of capabilities, but $2,700, my God. No, but fun to play with. MiniNova, $529. A decent synthesizer. Miserable, tiny miserable keys on it. I would not buy this for the key bed alone. It's kind of long in the tooth. I'm surprised they still sell it, actually, but it's a capable synth. Not for me, though. Of course, not hooked up, but we do have all the refaces up here. These are getting long in the tooth, and really, for what you're getting, the price is kind of excessive. I think these prices have gone up. I know I had a Reface CS, and I'm regretting ever selling it. I sold it for like $250. So you can probably get these a lot cheaper in the used market, but not I think on my list anymore. They do have not hooked up, but unfortunately I would like to play with this, but they do have the Behringer Lin drum, their version of the Lin drum, and their RD9, which is their version of the RD909. In fact, look at all the Behringer clones they have up. TD3, they got the Pro 800 up here, they got the Neutron, they got the Pro 1, oh, they got the Toro pedal one. And the Cat, and there's the Model D, which I do have. I don't see the Selena string one. That's the one I was really hoping I would get to try out, and I don't see it here. And over here, we've got some of the Roland ones. We got the SH4, we got the Roland TR-1000, which is the 808 clone, the 6S, then we got the 8S. I would have liked to have played with one of these. I think I might like to get an 8S at one point. We'll see. There's the 06A, it's the Juno-X clone. And then out of here, the place doesn't really belong here with all the Roland stuff, but there's a Malevolent. And we got tons of Roland little goodies up here. And then we move into the Korg Volca modules. any of these are really great little units. These are like stocking stuffers. $150 for a Korg Volca. That's a deal, and these things sound good. All right, that's it for Sweetwater today. Let's head over to the crew car, the courtesy car, and back to the airport and fly on home. And thanks to Smithfield Aero Center, the FBO that supplies us with courtesy cars. It's great FBOs like these people that make flying a real pleasure. Put the car back at the airport.
That was actually an interesting trip. I've never been to Sweetwater on a Sunday before, and it was actually quite quiet, which was nice. There's not so many people crowding in around and playing all kinds of noisy things on all the different instruments. And I got to take some time with all the different synthesizers and really get to play with them. So that was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that. It's still a beautiful day. Not much in the way of wind, so it should be about maybe just a little bit less than an hour flight back. I'm sitting here waiting for my oil to heat up before I can do my run up and take off. Then I got to go back and edit all this into some kind of cohesive video that makes some kind of sense about all the synthesizers that I just recorded, and also cross my fingers that what I recorded actually comes out. All right, time for the run up. All right, full power. Everything's in the green. Airspeed's alive. And 40, rudders are active. A little bit of a crosswind. There's 50. Gonna fly the nose off. 60. And rotate at 70. Oh yeah, we got crosswind, that's for sure. Gear up.
This is definitely the best way to travel, I would say. And for those who don't know, I fly at around 200 miles an hour across the ground. And of course, I'm not constrained by road, so I can go direct line of sight.
So it took 8 minutes for our climb, and we have 55-ish minutes remaining until we get back. So not too bad. For a 2.5-hour drive, getting there in an hour, or a little bit less than an hour, is pretty good. We got a super windy river down here. It does not say what river that is.
Going to maintain 4,000.
Oh, it's the Maumee River. So that is the Maumee River, which I have actually gone kayaking on before, and it just continues and winds back and forth is pretty much indefinitely because it's so flat in this area. There's no real hills to route where the rivers go, and as a result, they just kind of wind wherever the land happens to take them. I will mention that I will put a different version of this video that focuses more on the flight portion of the video and less on the synthesizers and Sweetwater version of this video, and I'll put that up here and in the links below if you're at all interested. I have a separate channel called Canard Boulevard, which is all about me flying this airplane, all the places I go, all the maintenance and upgrades and things that I do to the airplane. So if you're interested in that, check that out. I'll put that a link in the description below. And maybe up here as well.
300.
I guess the trees are kind of colorful and pretty this time of year. It's not too bad. There's a line of trees here that are all the same. They've all turned bright red all at once. little bit of a float. Well, that's it for this trip. If you have any questions, comments, suggestions, please leave them in the comments section below. If you did like this video, click thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Really helps me out when you do that. Only about 20 or 30% of the people that actually watch my videos are subscribed to the channel, and it really helps me more than anything else. So if you could subscribe to the channel, if you like what you're seeing, you get notified when I post new things, and it really helps me out. That's it. Thanks for watching.